You know, Dennis, these beans here, we're out here west of Huron, Miller, South Dakota, very difficult soils, August. Not bad looking beans, are they?
No, definitely not. They're green from pretty much from top to bottom.
We've got really good health in this. And the other thing I noticed is we've got really good root health, a lot of white fibrous root hairs on this, which is indicative of what we see above ground. And I believe you found, what, 26 nodes
Yep,
on
26
each plant?
nodes. Yes.
Which is pretty good. And also I noticed up here, we've got a whole clump of new flowers and pods developing, and that's worth anywhere from 3 to 5 bushel an acre if we can get those developed up here. And luckily we've had some good rains come through here in the last week, so the soil moisture is pretty good. Dennis, what has led up to this? This has been a program we've been working with them for, what, about 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, it's about 4 years.
And so what are some of the things that we've done out here, you think, to really improve soil health? Because isn't that what it's all about?
That's what it's all about.
You know, we're out here, and as I said, west of Huron, and these soils tend to be very difficult, don't they?
They are.
What are some of the issues we see out here in these soils?
Well, the biggest thing is they don't get the moisture that a lot of other places get. You know, more in eastern South Dakota, they get probably twice as much water as they do out here. Another thing is the climate out here. It gets a lot drier, it gets a lot hotter.
Okay.
So you have issues with drought, major issues with drought. You know, a typical yield out here, if you can get 100 bushel corn, you're doing pretty well as an overall average.
Right. And the same thing on beans, what, 25, 30 bushel is maybe average?
Yeah, pretty much.
And I remember we were out here in 2012, and I think that year the beans that they had in the fields we were working with them went over 50 bushel an acre, didn't they?
Yeah, they would have. They had one field that they had about 30% hail damage on it, and it still went 35 bushel. And if you put that into, you know, put that percent back onto that plant, you'd get about 55 bushel beans.
Yeah. So one of the problems that we have with these soils out here, though, we tend to have a lot of high in sodium and salts, right, because of the lack of moisture.
Right.
And so one of the things we've got to do is try to get rid of that and improve the overall soil health. And when we do that, we'll really boost the microbial health, which is really key to have a balanced soil, isn't it?
Yes.
We want to balance the microbes, we want to balance the minerals is really the key to start getting crops that look like this here in Miller, South Dakota, and you know, the middle of August.
Right.
So what are some of the things then that we've done out here to help us get to this point?
Well, it started with bio-augmenting the manure and
Okay.
turning that into NPF.
Okay.
When we started doing the NPF, in fact, how we got onto the colony was they tested NPF on their wheat, just the NPF, and purchased it from us, and they got a 3 bushel response. So they were all gung-ho on that. They built 2 lagoons so they could bio-augment their own manure, since they've got the manure here.
So explain what NPF is really.
NPF is natural plant food.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we'll take raw manure, we'll break it down, and then we'll separate it. We'll put it in 2 separate lagoons. We'll have one brewing for the current year and one brewing for the following year.
Okay.
And then we pump out of that. We use that for our starter fertilizer, our foliar
But
fertilizer.
we completely digest it. We don't add
Right.
additional raw manure once we isolate it. do
Right,
we?
right.
And it ends up kind of like a tea, doesn't it?
It does, it does.
And then he's been using that as part of his starter and foliar program. Everything he sprays foliar. And the
Right.
benefit of that really are all the microbes that are in it.
Right.
Besides the nutrients.
He's using that as totally as his carrier now for all of his different sprays. So.
Okay. So what else have we done out here that led us up to this point?
We're using Catwater Ag, which is actually Renewal Ag in South Dakota, and that's a biological product. It has some bacteria in it, but it's a biological stimulant.
And that balances soils chemically and biologically over the year.
Right.
And that's one of the ways we're improving health and dropping salt levels, isn't it?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And now we've incorporated some foliar products onto now to just further things along. He's been using Herbalife Plus now for 3 years, I believe. And Herbalife Plus is it's a high energy carbohydrate mixture that will basically feed the plant rather than actually stunting it like the normal AMS type of products do.
So it's an adjuvant, it's actually a replacement for AMS type products. And the benefit is we don't get the stall out on the bean, do we, when we
Right.
spray glyphosate as an example.
Right, exactly.
Because of the energy that's in it, it keeps the plant actively growing but yet because of the energy, we kill the weeds quicker and better, don't we?
Right. Those weeds want to absorb that product in there just as much as the plant does.
Yeah. And in fact, we have a lot of really good sales out here in South Dakota with producers and with the colonies. A lot of them are using the Herbalite Plus because they just, really it ends up giving them beans that are more uniform and in this deep color. And we don't have the stall out after we spray, and the plant just keeps kicking. You know, I was in a field the other day where they had some water hemp come through, and they came in with a product that really burnt the crop.
Cobra.
And it just shut everything down, and he hasn't got any of this. I mean, right there could be 3 to 5 bushel.
Right.
He took it right away.
It'll burn off those top nodes
and
for
here
sure.
We've got, I mean, you can look at all of these, and excellent potential right here on the top. You got 2 nodes with a lot of potential there that right now with the moisture we're looking at, and you know, we dug up some plants, and if you look at the soil here, I mean, look at this. There's root hairs all over.
You got an earthworm right there.
You got an earthworm, and look at how easy that just breaks up.
And all the roots.
And all the roots that are in there. But just look at the condition of this soil. And this is somewhat unusual for out here, isn't it?
It is. It's very unusual.
Normally you'd find a soil that is not as aggregated to this. It has a good earthy tone and smell to it. And again, as you said, this is just loaded with white fibrous root hairs off these plants. And this is really, soil health is really the key, because the soil is really the stomach to the plant and the roots are the mouth. So it's really indicative that we work on good soil health. It's all about balance, and balance is about microbial diversity and nutrient balance in the soil and availability to the plant.